people were out of sight, the truck began to work normally again. So these little tiny aliens in little tiny spacesuits.
No, it's magnetic people throwing off the electronics in the truck.
You can see why we're laughing at a lot of this. It just seems so bizarre. And Lord knows Adam and I have talked about some bizarre stuff, but some of this is hard to swallow.
Yeah. This stuff doesn't have enough to back it up that Matt and I can go, yeah, it sounds wild and it sounds crazy, but it could be plausible.
Yeah.
So, these are just anecdotes, and, science has looked into some of it and debunked some of it. So
these weird zones of silence are not exclusive to this region of Mexico. There are other places like this around the world. They're just not as well known. Strange anomalies, and I'm not even referring to the Bermuda Triangle, but strange anomalies that occur only in one particular area, whether it's bizarre weather patterns or, communication problems. And some of them can be explained because of, their position on the globe or solar flares.
The world is weird, so there is going to be a lot of weird areas that like that, but you can prove things.
Yeah, this one just seems so out of place, that it would be, right here in, North America. Well, it just doesn't fit. It's not, the population around it it doesn't make sense that it would be here. And it may very well be this way. Maybe it's faded over time. Maybe today it's not what it was in the 50s and 60s. It's hard to really say because, again, it doesn't seem like anybody's really researching it.
Right. And, that really the last thing I have on it, my thoughts about it, is that this could very well be one of many, like we were just talking about, places in the world that does have a weird electromagnetic field around it or some weirdness in the Earth's magnetic field that causes some disruptions in cell signal. I had one in my old house. If you went to the back of the house, you couldn't get a cell signal.
Yeah.
So, there are places like that. So this could be one of those places that has these weird anomalies like that, but it has been hyped up so much over the years,
right,
that now when people look into the zone of silence, it's this alien world in the middle of Mexico that has weird animals and plants, and there's these 3 people that live there, but they actually say they're from above, and it's just, I think it's been blown out of proportion. I think there is some weirdness, some natural geographical weirdness that probably goes on there. Yeah. But it's not as crazy as people make it out to be.
And, in this area and including the ranchers and the little townships that are around this area, there's about 76,000 people that live there. Guess what those 76,000 people are able to do? Talk on cell phones.
Watch their TV.
Watch television.
Yeah.
And in fact, scientists will tell you that a magnetic anomaly like this would actually make your cell phones and radios work better because of how, radio transmissions use the Earth's magnetic field to be able to travel over large distances. So the debunkers will say, look, this is not going to mess up your two-way radio or your cell phone. It's going to enhance it, and it's actually going to work better. I can see both ways. I think if it was so strong, it could begin to cause you some issues.
Yeah.
I think if it was just a little bit stronger, then maybe you get a little bit, you get a little bit better reception. You don't drop a call. But again, you're in the middle of the desert. I mean, how many cell phone towers are you going to, encounter if you get far enough away from the populated areas?
Right.
Despite all of this, because of, whether you believe it's an urban legend or not, there are still people that travel down there to get their firsthand experience in the zone of silence. The locals call them zoneros. These people that just travel there strictly because that's what it is. Now, some people will say, "Oh, it was it's a tourist thing." Listen, these ranchers, they don't want these people down there.
Sure.
I mean, they're not making money off of them. They're more they're more problematic than they are anything, because they have, it's private property. They've got miles and miles of fence to keep in their cattle. They've got a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
And here are these clowns coming around, jumping fences or cutting them or opening gates and not closing them, leaving trash places. It's annoying as hell, I can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
So, people will point to all of that to go, look, the locals, they only buy into it because all these other clowns come down here and buy into it.
Yeah.
And they said, a rancher may make a few bucks by letting somebody come across his property, or maybe pointing out, you give them a few dollars to say, hey, where's the best place for us to go to, get our compass to spin around? And they're going to be like, oh, well, you go right over there. And here, buy this ring, that he has magnetized. So, you wear this ring and then your compass is spinning like a top. It's really hard for me to buy into this. I agree with Adam wholeheartedly that there were a lot of weird events that occurred in this area, and they've mushed all the stories together, and they have created one big giant urban legend.
Right.
And whether the locals want it or not, that's just kind of what it's become. But we're interested to know, what do you guys think? We've had a lot of fun with this tonight. And we haven't done one quite like this in a while, where as we got into the research of it, we kind of figured out, this may not be 100%.
Yeah, we're not known as a debunking show.
Right.
We're a presentation show. We present to you what is out there, compile the quote unquote evidence and the stories, and show you and kind of allow you to make your decision. But every now and then, Matt and I will run into a topic that we just can't keep our big mouths shut on, and we have to say what we actually feel.
Yeah, this is kind of like, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
But it's fun because it does have so many stories. It does have some really strange events that have occurred down there. How much they've been blown out of proportion, I don't know. That they have fact checked the whole missile thing. It's legit.
Yeah.
I mean, it really did happen. The U.S. government really did go down there for several weeks to collect all this stuff, and did God knows what while they were there. All of that is 100% true. That did happen. Now, how many of these encounters with weird beings? I don't even think we mentioned the giant UFO that was spotted down there. There was the gigantic.
In 19.
Did we talk about it?
No, we didn't. The 1976 Caballos city had it was a little before 9 p.m. They saw this giant 300-meter long aircraft with different colored, alternating colored, pulsating lights around it.
Yeah.
and they apparently could hear this deep hum coming from within that craft.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
300 meters, y'all.
Yeah.
300 meters. That is like 3 football fields.
Right. So it's freaking huge.
Think about looking up in the sky and seeing something the size of 3 football fields.
It apparently, they said, affected the town's dogs because the dogs were howling and stuff. So
it's a 3 football field size UFO, and it irritated the dogs.
Right. And we don't have any pictures of it from
none
from 76 where we had cameras.
The biggest UFO ever. And it's like, oh, well, nobody's got a camera on them.
Yep. Whoops.
And there's weird lights. Ranchers have reported strange lights all around there. Some of them coming up from the ground when they go out on night rides to check on their herds. They've got stories of seeing these weird, strange lights all around them. Like I said, the stories kind of go on and on and on.
And it's like a mesh of so many other things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're almost wading into like the Stardust Ranch.
Oh yeah. Yep. Stardust Ranch and Marfa Lights and all that other stuff.
Yeah. So it's a huge conglomeration, but what do you guys think?
Tell us.
Is this something that's just totally out there that's been blown out of proportion? Or are there some legitimate stories in there that have prompted some exaggeration over the years?
Mm-hmm.
Let us know.
And do that on our Facebook or come to the See Alive show, March 7th.
Exactly. So March 7th, that's Saturday at 8 p.m. Catch us for a little bit of more discussion on this, and you can get in on the action too. We're really looking forward to it. In the meantime, go check us out on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can just search Graveyard Tales. It's the easiest way to find us. And you can check out our Facebook group where a lot of this kind of discussion goes on. There's some really great people in there.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, every day there's something new, unusual, strange, funny, whatever it is. And it's a safe place for you to share your strange experiences and sometimes even get some help.
Yeah.
So jump in there. Please go and rate and review us on iTunes. It's the easiest way for us to get up the charts, and that just brings more people into the graveyard. So don't forget to check out our website. It's graveyardpodcast.com. You can listen to the show. You can find links to buy Graveyard Tales merchandise, and you can become a patron. And thank you to everyone who has donated to the show. So until next time, we'll save you a seat in the graveyard.
See you soon.
Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me, box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and become one of our friends on Facebook. facebook.com/Radio Detectives. Today's program is brought to you by the financial support of our listeners. You can support the show on a one-time basis, support.greatdetectives.net, by using the Zelle app to box 13 at greatdetectives.net, or by mail to Adam Graham, P.O. Box 15913. That's P.O. Box 15913, Boise, Idaho 83715. And become one of our ongoing Patreon supporters for as little as $2 per month. Just go to patreon.greatdetectives.net. Well, now it's time for today's episode of Dragnet. The original air date, March 22nd, 1955, and the title is The Big Talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a robbery detail. A watch salesman tells you his sample case has been stolen. He says he knows the men who did it. Your job? Find them.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, October 4th. It was cool in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. My name's Friday. We're on our way into the office, and it was 7:46 a.m. when we got to room 27A. Robbery.
I'll check the book.
All right. Anything for us?
No. Say, you took Faye to the movies last night.
Well?
Yeah, darn good double bill. Mystery and a comedy. Sure had me fooled.
What?
The mystery had me fooled. I never can figure out who done it.
Yeah.
It was this rich society girl.
Mm-hmm.
She lived in a penthouse, top floor, real modern kind of glass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, they found her lying outside in the roof garden part, and the doors were all locked, and the police had to break them down to get in. As soon as they got in...
Yes, sir.
I'd like to report a robbery. Is this the right place?
Yes, sir. You want to sit down?
Oh, thanks. My name's Liggins, Russell Liggins.
Could you spell it, please?
Yeah, it's Liggins. Liggins.
Mm-hmm. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
I'm pleased to meet you.
How you doing?
I suppose you tell us what happened, Mr. Liggins.
Be okay to smoke?
Sure, go ahead.
You fellas care for a cigarette?
Yeah, thank you. Here, I have a light. Frank?
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, it was my own fault to begin with. It just wasn't using my head.
Uh-huh.
The company ought to fire me. I wouldn't blame them if they did.
What company is that?
Sentinel Watch Company up in Seattle.
I see.
It's a new outfit. They import movements from Japan and put them in cases over here and wholesale them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of their head salesmen. I came down for the Jewelers Convention.
I see.
The convention ended yesterday, and I was supposed to leave for home this morning, 9 o'clock plane. I guess I have to take a later flight now.
Yes.
Boy, of all the dumb stunts, practically handed in my sample case on a silver platter.
That's
Over
all?
100 watches. Our best stuff. A lot of them in jeweled cases. Company wanted to make a good impression, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd the robbery take place, Mr. Liggins?
Front of the hotel. For all intents and purposes, that is.
Which hotel is
A
that?
Greystone. That's where I've been stopped.
I see. Do you have any idea who robbed you?
Best idea in the world.
Yeah.
Spent a couple of hours with him last night.
Yeah?
You see, what happened is this. Like I said, the convention was over yesterday and wound up about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And, well, I had the whole evening ahead of me, nothing to do.
Go ahead.
I had dinner there at the hotel, a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
Still too early to go to bed, so I thought I'd look the town over, you know?
Mm-hmm. Stopped
by Pershing Square and listened to those characters spouting off, and along about 10 o'clock, I headed back toward the Greystone. Passed the bar and decided to go in for a nightcap.
You remember the name of the bar?
No, I'm afraid not. It's just a couple blocks from the hotel, though. Had a nice little combo in there, played pretty good music. So I sat around for a while.
Yeah.
I guess I had a little too much to drink. Oh, I wasn't drunk or anything like that, but had my share.
Mm-hmm.
It must have been a little higher. I wouldn't have got started talking to a couple of strangers the way I did.
Yeah.
They were sitting next to me, these two fellas. We got to chatting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was about music at first. They seemed to be enjoying it. One thing led to another, and they bought me a drink, and then I had to pay them back, of course.
Yes, sir.
Asked me what line I was in. I told them I sold watches. Said I was in town for the jewelry convention. They took it real big, said that's why they were here, too. Claimed they had a jewelry store in Salt Lake City.
They mentioned their names?
Oh, sure. They introduced themselves, but it didn't sink in. Not their last names, anyhow. George and Paul. Yeah, that's all I can remember.
Mm-hmm. What happened then?
Well, they started complaining about the quality of the watches they'd been shown. Said they hadn't seen anything worth buying. Well, so I asked them if they'd looked at my samples, and they said they didn't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I offered to make an appointment to show them my stuff. Figured I could stay over an extra day on the chance of making a good sale. And they said that wouldn't be necessary for me, to stay over. Said they could meet me this morning before I left for the airport.
Well, did you set up an appointment?
Yes, sir. I told them it'd have to be early if I was still going to catch my plane, and that was fine with them. The earlier, the better. Agreed to meet me at 7 a.m. They even offered to drive me to the airport. Couldn't ask for anything more than that, could I?
No, sir.
Well, anyway, I come downstairs about 6:45 and checked out, and they were supposed to pick me up in front of the hotel.
Yeah.
Well, about 5 or 7, they come by. I hopped in the car, and we drove off. We hadn't gone more than a mile or so, and they pulled over and parked. Quiet street, not much traffic.
Mm-hmm.
I asked them why they were stopping there. I figured I showing them my watches out at the airport. They said they wanted to look at them now.
What was that again?
They said that they want to look at them right now, in the car.
The watches?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And it struck me as kind of funny. I didn't see where it would make any difference. And I opened up the case, and they just sort of glanced inside. And then one of the fellows, the one named George, he took out a gun and started shoving me through the door. And I tried to argue with him. I wasn't getting anywhere, though.
Pulled a gun, huh?
Yeah. And he, kind of pushed me with it.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I asked him to please at least give me my suitcase. I said it wouldn't be worth it.